Alright, this is lesson 52, solving and graphing linear inequalities. So we're continuing the graphing and manipulating numbers. The big concepts is sometimes we have to take our equations and we have to move things around, put it in the right format so we know how to graph them. And we're dealing with inequalities, which is really an Algebra 1, pre-algebra thing when we graph. So this will be a good refresher because I noticed that some of the other kids in first period had trouble with this, so this was a good reminder. But we'll be doing inequalities a lot in this class, which is shading above or below. And the reason why is in real life, like let's say we're in a business, or if I'm in business, sometimes I want my profits to stay above a certain line. Okay, so there's like a line, a model that I might make, or it could be an exponential model, it could be any model, it could be a linear model, quadratic model, it could be a exponential model, it could be a cubic model, it could be any model we want, and we might have certain parameters. We might say profit needs to stay above or greater than this line, okay, or costs need to stay below this line. And if we're not in those parameters, we run the risk of losing business, okay? So we have to think in those terms. Here are the steps for today. Very similar to yesterday, except I added this, if not carefully solve for y, and I'll show you what, if we have an inequality and we multiply or divide by negative, do you remember what we do if we multiply or divide by negative on an inequality? What? We flip the sign. Okay, good. We'll look at that. Same thing applied as yesterday, except step 4, using a straight edge, you're going to draw a solid line if it includes equal to, or a dashed line if it's not equal to, and then you have to do some shading at the end. If it's greater than, you shade above, less than, you shade below. Okay? So here we go. Number 1 and 2. So number 1. Number 1's already solved for us, which is real nice. So we know our y is less than or equal to negative 4/3 minus 4. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So we know our y-intercept is negative 4, our slope is negative 4/3. So just like yesterday, you're just going to plot your point on your y-intercept, and our slope is negative 4/3, which we know we're going to go down 4 and over 3, but we don't have enough space down here, right? There's not enough graph paper, so we're going to go the opposite way. I know there should be a point someplace around here, but go the opposite way. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3. Up 4, over 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is check to see what my inequality sign says. My inequality sign says less than or equal to. So since it has the equal to sign, we're going to draw a solid line. On number 2, notice it says just no equal to, so we would have a dashed line. You'll see the differences here. So we're going to draw a solid line. So I take my straight edge using my ID card or a ruler or something that's going to help me draw a straight line. We're going to put arrows at the end because I know that this line theoretically goes on forever, just like yesterday. And now we're checking my inequality sign one more time. It says less than or equal to. So since it's less than, we're going to shade below. So I take the side of my pencil and shade lightly, and then use my finger to make it look nice. Or if you want to do it on your iPad, you can make it look like that. There's a shading tool on there. And that's it, okay? And that's number 1. What this is saying, let's say this was my profit model, okay, is that I need to be, if I'm in this zone right here, I could lose my business. If I have, if someone steals 5 products from my shelf, then I would lose $5 and I could go out of business, okay? That could be what this means, okay? It depends what your model is, but that's how we'd use it in real life. Number 2, 4x minus y is greater than 1. Okay, again, this one is not in the correct format, so we're going to have to manipulate this. So the first thing you do is subtract 4x on both sides. Okay, and we're going to get negative y is greater than negative 4x plus 1. Okay? Next thing we're going to do is, we notice y is not by itself. This is a very important step. All eyes up here. I don't want you to miss this step. Negative y. How do I get rid of a negative y? We divide by -1 on both sides. Now watch carefully. When I multiply or divide by negative on both sides, you flip the inequality sign. So instead of greater than, it's going to become less than. So now y is not greater than, but less than positive 4x. Positive 1 divided by -1 is -1. Okay, so this is my inequality. So I'm going to graph it like yesterday. Go graph it at -1. Plot a point. Our slope is 4. So it's like saying 4 over 1. So we're going to go up 4 over 1. Up 4. We can't go that way. Let's see, go the opposite way. Over 1. And on this particular one, now I'm looking at my inequality sign. I'm noticing right here it's less than. It's not equal to, so I have to draw a dashed line. So using my ruler, I could just draw a dashed line where I'm just skipping my pencil across. Or you could just draw a straight line and then use your eraser to erase. I don't care which way you do it, as long as it looks neat. Okay, and on this last step now, after we drew arrows in our dashed line, it says it's less than, so greater than, pretend like you're walking on the mountainside, you're walking above. Less than, pretend that you're hanging off, like in gym class, monkey bars, okay? So where less than is underneath, so we want to shade underneath this graph. And that's it, okay? Shading underneath the graph. And that's how you do numbers 1 and 2. One more hint. Look at the slope on number 2. What kind of slope do we have? Is it positive or negative? On the slope on number 2. Good. Look at the slope on number 1. What do we have? Negative. Okay, so if you have a negative slope, reading on your slope, you read it from left to right. You should have a line that goes down on a negative slope. On a positive slope, you should have a line that goes up from left to right. Okay, that's a hint, because some of you might make mistakes, so double check your work. And that's it. Any questions on 1 or 2? Okay, so as a class with your partner, I want you to focus just on number 2. I want you to first talk let's have 2's talk first. How did we manipulate the equation to become this right here? And specifically talk about why it became less than, and then once take over, explain how we graph, explain why is it a dashed line and shaded, okay? Ready, set, talk. Okay, continuing on number 3, let's do this one together. We're graphing. So, is it in standard form? Turn to your neighbor, tell him, is it in standard form? Or not standard form, slope-intercept form, is it? Yep, it is. So, what's your slope, everyone? Slope?
Oh, -5.
Good. Y-intercept? 3. Good. So we're plotting 3 as our y-intercept. And the slope is negative, so should it, from left to right, should my line be rising or falling? My slope is negative. From left to right, should it be rising or falling? Falling. Good. So we're going to go down. It should be looking like this, right? Down. That's not exactly how it looks, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Should have a point here, right? Can I fit any more points on my graph? Nope. You can't. Okay, so you're doing this alongside with me. I know some of you are going to be really good at this. This is going to be really easy. Some of you need to have review. Okay, everyone's participating though, so I'll give you a moment to catch up. Okay. Now turn to your neighbor and tell him, is it going to be a solid line or a dashed line? Good, dashed, right? So we take our straight edge, or you could just use there's a line function on here. And make sure you draw arrows because these lines go on forever. Okay, next thing we have to figure out where to shade it. Do we shade above or below the line? Good. What's the inequality say? Y is what? Greater than. Okay, so we would take our straight edge and shade above. Like so. And that's it. Alright. All right, so that's number 3. Let's do number 4 together. Let me actually, before number 4, let me see your paper or your whiteboards. Make sure you got it like mine. Okay, number 4. What would be the first step? Turn to your neighbor. Tell them what you do first. Okay, what are we doing? Subtract 7x. So we're starting off by writing down 2y is greater than or equal to negative 7x plus 10. Next thing, what would we do? Divide by 2. Okay, so am I dividing by positive 2 or negative 2? Good. So do I need to flip my inequality sign?
Yes.
I am dividing, but am I dividing by negative though? Does that make sense? Okay, so if you're don't flip it this time, right? We're not flipping because we're going to be dividing by a positive 2. By a positive 2. So y is going to be greater than or equal to negative 7 halves x. Positive 10 divided by 2 is positive 5. There's your equation. Now I want you to graph it on your iPads. You're going to do the rest right now. I'll get you started by plotting the y-intercept and another point. Okay, you finish this off. If you didn't get this one, it would be a solid line between 2 points. And we are going to draw arrows at the end because we know it goes on forever. And we know that it is greater than or equal to, so we're going to be above the line. So pretending if I'm walking on it, I'm going to be walking above the line, so it would be shading above the line. Like so. And that's it, okay? Alright, let's do one more, last one. Number 5. So number 5, I'll get you started for a little bit, and then where's this? Okay, so number 5, what would you do first? Turn to your neighbor. Subtract what? Good, so we have negative 2y is going to be less than negative 9x minus 8. Okay? Next, what would you do? Okay, divide by negative 2. If I divide by negative 2, my inequality sign flips, okay? So you're going to go from less than to greater than. So now we have y is going to be greater than. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to let you finish off the rest, okay? Give you the opportunity to do this. I'll give you about 2 minutes and I'll come around and check your work. You should have y is greater than. What's negative 9 divided by negative 2? Okay, most of you made this mistake. I said good because I wanted to make sure most of you got it. At least the shading part. So, raise your hand if you made that a negative 9 halves. Okay, some of you made that mistake then. Okay, then we put a positive 4 as our y-intercept. It's going down. We have to go up 9 and over 2, but we don't have enough graph paper, so we have to go the opposite way. We know that the graph is going to look like this, so we need to go the opposite way, down 9 and over 2. And this is a dotted line because it doesn't include the equal sign. And we have to draw arrows at the end, of course, because we know that this goes on forever. And it's shaded greater than, so it's going to be above. So pretending that I'm walking on the line, it's going to be up here. No, that looks bad. Okay, and that's it. All right. Now, I wanted to show you one more thing. That concludes this lesson.